So EJ, walk us through how your journey from appliance repair to appliance sales is going.
Yeah, man. So we decided to go into sales just a few months ago after doing repair for over 5 years. We actually just flipped over 10,000 service calls since we've been in business just this past week.
Woo.
Congratulations.
So
if you think about 10,000 service calls, I know what appliances they have. I know what I can sell, what people can buy, but knowing how to get it and strategically what kind of deals we can put together, that's where you guys came in really big. Matt really set us up. What kind of things, Matt, was you focused on in this conversation that we had?
So my biggest focus was getting you things that you could sell profitably, getting you things that you could use as a credibility piece with your customers, and getting you things that would move quickly. You know, the credibility piece is the most important. You as a service provider first, people are going to trust you implicitly based on that alone. So if you pick products that have some level of inherent reliability concerns, or you pick products that have a reputation you can't put your brand on, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
do you think with like most repair companies have that wider customer base? Like I don't have much experience in the repair side. I've got experience on the appliance side. Like I assume me and Brad know who our customer is, right?
Yes.
But like when it comes to repair, is that just all over the place?
You know, that's a really good point. And when I first started in repair, I wanted every single call I could get. And then as I kind of bumped around and figured out what the brand is I want, you see it. We're red, white, and blue because I'm a veteran. We charge $119, which is among the highest in our area, because we bill ourselves as a premium that you can count on. And then I realized that different customer avatars are attracted to different things, right? When I raised my service call over $100, all of a sudden I didn't see many roaches anymore. You don't go into certain houses and their dogs have messed all over the place. So the same thing is going to happen here in the store. As we were going through the product mix, there was a few times I got tempted to say, I need some really low cost stuff. So really cheap things to get in and get out, because where I'm just a little bit outside of downtown, there's a lot of really rural, low income people or bargain hunters on the severe level that I want to cater to. It's like, no, EJ, your brand is important. I've already established the brand in appliance repair. I need to carry that same level in the store.
That's a good point. So like good, better, best. So like in my experience in my retail store, and this is a question for you, Brad, in my retail store, what we kind of figured out is the more options we put on our sales floor that are very similar to each other, the more confused our shopper kind of got. Walk me through how you look at your sales floor, Brad, and what you pick to put on your store. Is it everything like what I just described, or are you choosing things to simplify?
So I've learned over time that I always thought bigger stores, bigger sales, right? And it is that to a fact, but I've realized that too big is too much. So I have a store, it's 13 or 14,000 square feet, and it's rows of appliances. I mean, I probably have 800 or 900 appliances in one location.
Is that your biggest store?
That is not my biggest store. It probably has the most appliances in it. A lot of my stores are that size, but I have learned over time the customer takes too long and they are too overwhelmed, and they're like they get lost because they were looking over here and then they were looking over there. So it's like sometimes it is overwhelming for people because I have 400 fridges, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of them repeats. Like I'll have 10 of the same fridge. So like they'll be looking at that one and like spending an hour in the store, like looking at every single one. They're like, well, you have 10 of these. So like they're trying to compare and contrast. And I just think too big is too much. And I've learned that over time.
Yeah. I've even heard it with Matt whenever he's talking to like his wholesale customers with Holloways. Like they're used to refurbishing everything under the sun, and you can kind of just picture what that looks like. Their showroom floor has 30 different types of washer dryers, and the customer's walking in and they're going, well, these 4 sets are the same price and they're completely different things. What's out there in the world, Matt, and what are people What are you hearing from our wholesale side?
So a couple things. Just to piggyback on what Brad said, there's this effect, and I've given it a name, and I'm sure somebody's given it a systematic name, but I call it the museum docent experience, where as salespeople, when we have too many options on the floor, we have a tendency to jump into our comfort zone, which is just to walk people to each option. That is the worst way to sell an appliance because it creates tremendous information overload. And it's the same thing that you're talking about, Brad. When you have 10 options that all look very similar, or like you're talking about, Scott, where you have 4 different sets and they're all the same price, but they're all different things. You want to create sets as much as possible with laundry. You want to create kitchen suites as much as possible with kitchen appliances, because the more that you group the things together that are like with like, you help the customer visualize what it's going to look like in their home. When you have an entire wall of refrigerators, they're all stainless steel French doors. I guarantee you, if you stick 5 customers in that same showroom, none of them will say they can visualize what each fridge would look like in their house. But if you stick a fridge next to a range, and they're the same manufacturer, same finish, same handle style, or you stick a Medea French door that has no handles and no badging next to a Frigidaire gas slide-in, it starts to click for the customer. Oh, that looks like a nice pair. I like that. I'm going to buy both. It accelerates your sales, it accelerates units per transaction, and it gets you higher average selling prices, because when you can show a customer a complete solution, they're more likely to make a purchase from you because they don't have to shop in 2 places if they do in fact need more than one appliance.
I don't want to give ASCO a free plug here, but I didn't know anything about that brand until we went to ASTI, and Matt nerded out with the ASCO guy for, I don't know, a couple hours, and a completely stainless steel dishwasher, like on the inside, the fill hose, that I've never heard of anything like that. Even some of the other brands like Bosch or, the other ones, it's pretty remarkable.
I am a Bosch fan for dishwashers. I'm not saying that I don't like their other appliances, but for Bosch dishwashers, they are a hot seller for us. You're talking about ASDI. Another thing I wanted to bring up, when we all ate, I don't know if it was lunch or breakfast, and we went to a restaurant that had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I couldn't figure out what to eat, and that was me spending $12. So just imagine that with appliances, spending thousands of dollars, to where the waitress had to come back 3 or 4 times because I didn't even know if I wanted eggs or a sandwich. You know what I mean? So if that's a choice like that, then imagine spending thousands of dollars. It's the same thing.
So if I recall, you ate a salad at Denny's that morning.
And I didn't go with the breakfast or the sandwich.
So I was originally thinking refrigerators on one outside wall, and then on the other outside wall of the rectangle, and then washers and dryers, and then ranges. My thought was to face the quality ranges at the quality fridges, and then vice versa. But you guys started talking about this suite thing. Do you think it's better to put them side by side, like fridge, range, if we have something that matches, or is it better for them to face each other?
I think you could approach it both ways. If you have a Frigidaire Gallery range and you have a Frigidaire Gallery French door right across from each other, that's a slam dunk, because the customer can turn one way or the other and see the option that they should buy. And if your salesperson's guiding them, you can literally just tell the customer to turn around. The thing you don't want to do is have the products so far away from each other that you can't visualize them being in the same space easily.
Yeah, so my layout here is the dishwasher section is like 10 feet away from the closest fridge. And it'll be kind of that way for the ranges. So I'll really have to pay attention to the brands and the appearances and try to stage them at least within eyeshot, right?
Yes, and that's why we were strategic in getting you neutral ranges to fill in gaps. So things that either are unbranded or have minimal branding that don't stick out like a sore thumb.
I mean, if you're in Brad's store, that's 20,000 square feet, that might be a really big deal. You know, if the dishwashers are on that wall and the fridges are on that wall, there's probably some sweet spot in there, right, Brad? Like, how do you do your...
You want to have both. So like traditionally, most of the times people that are shopping with us, like especially for EJ, I feel like it's going to be a customer that is, if he's selling to a customer, he's going to be selling a refrigerator. So like with us, I have branded and non-branded. So I'll have manufacturers displays and I'll have unbranded displays. But for the most part, I put like product with like product because 90% of my customers that come in are looking for a fridge. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't want them walking, you can't see me, but I don't want them walking from this side of the store to all the way to this side of the store to look at the fridges. So for the most part, I keep fridges with fridges, ranges with ranges, gas with gas, electric with electric and stuff like that to make it easier. But I do have, if you have the space, you know, displays set up to where a customer can look if they decide to upgrade all at once, they have that. But for the most part, a customer is coming in because they need a refrigerator or they need a range or they need a washer or they need a dryer. I also, with my washers and dryers, I keep sets. So I have a pair, but then I also have single washers and single dryers. And it's separate, you know what I mean? Like, because in the appliance world, like we understand that a washer is going to break generally 2 or 3 times faster than a dryer. So I don't want to break up my sets, because if I sold just washers, I would only have just dryers left. So we have us, you know, rows of single washers and rows of single dryers.
So Matt, how does the big box world do that? How do they approach their showroom?
That's a great question. So different companies have different approaches to how they design their showrooms for maximum velocity. So there's the dark blue house retailer. There's the orange box, and then there's the blue and yellow retailer that shall not be named. I come from the blue and yellow one, and we had a very, very detailed approach to floor plan design, because what we would do is we would look at the demographics in the area. We would analyze median income. We would analyze how many standard deviations away the bulk of the population was from the median. We would look at average real estate sales prices in the zip code in the store and the 5 zip codes surrounding, or 10 zip codes surrounding, whatever that 30-mile radius around the store was. So there's a highly analytical approach to get to a floor plan, and that's why there were so many floor plan options. But you'll notice in both the orange and the blue house store that the salespeople, they lack enough knowledge, because really it's not their fault. They're just not trained well, because these companies don't allocate any money or time to educating their salespeople. And that's where we come in, that's where EJ comes in, because we know enough about the product that we can help other people do the same thing and replicate it. And when it comes to floor plan design, it's the same concept. I can pull from the best of both and tell you what to do based on how much space you have and who you're trying to appeal to.
Matt, you was talking about the blue place, which is what we have most of around here. The blue place, when you look at laundry, they have a few different models, maybe 3 to 5 per brand, and they have one set on the floor of each. And then you look at the refrigerator section, and it's like 3 or 4 rows.
Yep.
And it's almost like they can't decide which one they want to do. But my question for you is, how many should I put on the floor of the same model? And do you put them side by side and just let them pick which one? Or do I go with a more minimalist approach like the blue place?
That's a great question. So if it is a new in-box product and you have a scratch and dent processed piece that you have that exact same model, that new in-box product should live in the back in the box. That should not come out to play at all. If it's a situation where you only have that scratch and dent piece and that's a unique piece in your assortment, you should keep the second unit in back stock. So like the Medea refrigerator that we picked out, that we had 2 of on the list. Brad's just smiling and I love it.
He loves them. He loves Medea. He's probably got a Medea tattoo.
It's not that they were razzing me about my Medea. I do containers of Medea. I'm a Midea fan.
I mean, I'm not anti Midea at all. I used to hawk it at the blue and yellow place under a different name that starts with an I, but it's the same product made by the same company in the same factory, just with a different branding on it. But on the flip side, if you have two of the same refrigerator, your best quality display, so the piece that has the least damage and is most aesthetically pleasing, that should live in backstock, and the one that has more severe damage should live on the floor. And my perspective on that is this: if the customer is willing to accept it as it is, then you've made a sale at a great price point, and now the only piece you have left is that higher quality piece that's going to be easier to sell. You got the hard one out of the way.
So I'll give you the same scenario from like my side. We sell refurbished washer dryers in our store, which is what you're referring to, those Holloway units where you're going to rebuild them, you're going to clean them, you're going to paint them or do whatever. We do the same thing on our side and they sell really well. Brad doesn't sell refurbished product, right? You guys
No.
are full scratch and dent, yes.
Well, unless I refurbish it, so like I'm authorized by the manufacturer to do repairs. So if like it comes in, it fails, then I can refurbish it, but I can still sell it with a factory warranty.
But not a Holloway. Like you don't.
No.
take a Holloway.
I don't do any no used.
Yeah. So we have opposing viewpoints of that, and we take, like on the refurbished side, we take it to a level that like it even makes me uncomfortable how like into the refurbishing aspect we actually go. But we tell people we pick the worst ones that we have in stock. Like they got a little bit of blue on the inside of the drum, or maybe they're a little bit more scuffed up. And we tell the customer when they come in, because they already like the price, they already like the quality of the product. When they come in and they look at it, we always say, it won't look worse than this. You know, it's not going to be this exact one, and it won't look worse than what you're looking at. And it's always worked out well for us. But Brad's way of doing his showroom is way different than ours. So how do you guys approach that?
So with Matt, he was talking about leave the messed up one in the front and the good one in the back. Well, you're also going to have, like if you have walk-in customers, you have customers that don't want to talk to you. Like it happens. Like you have some customers that are super interactive, but you also have some customers that just want to be left alone. You know what I mean? And they just do their shopping. So if you don't have that piece on the floor, they might never ask you or interact with you for you to even grab that sale. So in my opinion, my prices are great. The quality is great. Our name is great. We offer a premium service. Like we want to earn your business. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to run out the door to chase you for it.
The way I always used to overcome the silent type was with POP. And I think that's maybe something that we haven't really explored, because I know in our store we don't really have a ton of POP because we're not in enough with the manufacturers to be blessed with such.
We have to make it
signage.
ourselves.
We have to make it ourselves. So it would be to your advantage to develop POP if you're gonna run the strategy of keeping one unit on the floor and one unit in backstock. Some kind of signage that says more available, ask us for more options. Something to indicate to the customer that is silent that they should communicate if they want to see additional options in that particular SKU when they're available. In big box, you are taught from day one, basically, that you must sell the package. If you have not sold the package, you have failed. The package is, if a customer has a broken washing machine, you need to sell them a dryer. You need to sell them front-loading laundry. You need to sell them front-loading laundry with pedestals. If you have not done those things, you are a failure. This is what gets beaten into you in a big box environment from pretty much your first day at work. Suffice it to say, the goal should be to sell the package. If you sell a single item, if it's a low dollar value item, you're not doing your business any favors. And if you're just addressing the customer's instantaneous need today, you're setting yourself up to not be as impactful as you could be. Like, it's bad customer service to not sell a new ventilation appliance with a range. It's bad customer service to not sell a new dryer with a washer, because I can't count how many times I've had a customer come in to buy a washing machine, fight me on buying the dryer at the same time, and come in a week later and say, yeah, it died.
It happens a lot.
All the time. And it's bad customer service because you're going to put that customer through two sales processes, 2 purchasing experiences, 2 delivery experiences, and you didn't save them anything. You actually made their life harder because you didn't take 10 extra minutes or 15 extra minutes to massage the sale into something bigger because it felt hard. And that's what salespeople struggle with all the time.
So I think the biggest takeaway there is that you have to dig into who your customer is, right? You have to figure out who they are, what's their lifestyle, and then match them with a product, whether it's a higher end product or not. But you're matching them into a product that actually works for their lifestyle, not just what they came in that they think, that they want. You're trying to solve a problem, which is back to what you were saying before, EJ.
Yeah, a lot of people like to call upsell a wordy dirt, but if you really think about it in a sense, like I really stand by my sales strategy as sales as a continuation of our service. People think that if you ask somebody or mention something that they didn't ask for, that it's an upsell and it's dirty, you don't want to do that. I like options. I've learned sometimes I like to be sold. Tell me what my options are. I'll tell you yes or no if I want to do it. I don't want to influence or manipulate people to get stuff that they don't want or need, but I want to give them the options. And sometimes if we can do a package, we can save them even more money.
It feels weird and it feels uncomfortable, but once you break out of the mentality and see that it's actually better customer service and customers are going to have a more positive experience, it doesn't feel unpleasant anymore to sell like that. And that's the mental gymnastics that if you put your salespeople through and you go through yourself, you're going to feel a lot better about doing it. And your customers are going to give you more positive feedback when they see the end result.
Well, it's very cool. So we got into EJ's appliance sales journey from the repair world, choosing a product mix, the showroom setup. So I'm pretty excited to see what you got for us next week, EJ, as you go through this journey. I think you get your first truckload soon, so we'll see what it looks like. Well, appreciate it, guys. We will see everyone on the next one next week.